Hello everybody. Maths today is going to be different. We're not going to be doing work on transforming shapes today. We're actually going to link our maths to our geography today, and we're going to be doing a little bit of data handling, which is work about data, statistics, graphs, that kind of thing. So what we're going to be looking at today is understanding the climate in Greece and then using this to plot bar graphs. Now, before we move on, I just want you to think, do you know the difference between the weather and the climate? The weather and the climate are two different things. So just have a think now, do you know the difference? Well done, those of you that do. There's going to be a short video now that's going to explain that. Now, what's going to happen, as we've worked out in these videos when I record on PowerPoint like this, is that the video will play and then there'll be a big gap afterwards, and I can't work out how to not do that. I thought I understood it, but I don't. And I don't. It's easier than doing it this way than you coming out, watching a separate video and then coming back to this one again. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch this video, and then there will probably be, I think the gap afterwards is the same length as the video. So you might then need to fast forward a little bit, to sort of use the slider to fast forward until you see the next picture come up. Does that make sense? So there'll be a gap after the next video. Okay, so the video I'm about to show you explains the difference between the weather and the climate, and I hope it helps you make sense, and I hope you enjoy it. I certainly enjoyed doing it, and I enjoyed what came after I made this video, and you'll understand that in a second. So here is the video now.
Hello everybody. We are going to be thinking about a very strange start for a maths lesson today. We're going to be thinking about the difference between the weather and the climate. Do you think you might know the difference between weather and climate? This is sort of geography as well as maths. What do you think? Now we're going to be looking specifically at Greece here to go with our topic. Now before we can do this, I need the help of, as you can see here, some Smarties. They're going to help me out. So before we start, let's think about the different weathers there could be. So we could have hot and dry weather, and that's going to be represented by Smarties. There are lots of different weathers. I'm just doing some of them here. I don't know how well you can see that. That says warm, the yellow one. That's going to be represented by yellow. Cold is going to be green. Rainy is going to be blue. And then snow is going to be purple. Now just have a think, in Greece, what are you more likely to see? Which colours do you think you'd be more likely to see in Greece? Okay, we're going to start by looking at the weather. Let's go for a day in June. Let's say June, 1st of June. Okay, so 1st of June, the weather on the 1st of June is hot and sunny. Okay, the next day, on the 2nd of June, still the summer, not quite peak summer, so it's going to be warm, really warm on the 2nd of June. Okay, so slightly different to the first, slightly different weather, still quite hot. Okay, and the third, similar idea, I think. That's also going to be a hot one. My pen's running out. Okay, let's swap still to Greece, but let's think about maybe, let's think about November. So let's think about the 1st of November. I hope you can see that pen clearly. 1st of November. Now, it's Greece. It's not right in the middle of winter, so it might still be quite warm. But the next day, we're going to have a bit of rain, okay? And it's going to be quite cold as well. So you can see that we do have some different colours there. Okay, now mid-winter, let's go for January the 1st now. So we're getting towards mid-winter, not quite into spring yet. So I'm going to go, now this is unusual for Greece, but very occasionally they might have snow in Greece. But the next day it's going to be a bit cold and a bit rainy again. Okay. But the next day, what do you think might have the next day? Thank you, Smarties. Might be a little bit warmer the next day. So you can see how the weather does change. What about August time? This pen really is running out. Let me just get another pen. Okay, what about August time? That's better. Now, August, right in the middle of summer. What do you think we're going to have then? Do you think we'd have, that was the pen falling on the floor. I think we'd probably have quite a lot of this, wouldn't we? Yeah, we'd have lots of reds. So what you can see here is the weather. We can see the weather is different. We do have a bit of a range of colours here. Okay, so that discusses the weather. The weather can change. It can be different every day. And that's what the different colours represent. But let's think about, not the weather now, let's think about the climate. So we were going to think about the difference between the weather and the climate. Okay. And I flip this over because I want a clean side to help me with this. So the climate, I'll give this a shake. What can you see more of in this little bunch here? What's the colour you can see most of? Do you think it's red? Yeah, red and then possibly yellow. There's only one purple. There's a few blue, but not too many. Again, there's a few green, but not too many. And a few yellow. But look how many red we've got compared to all the other colours. A lot more red. And this represents the climate in Greece. So although when we had the individual days, those were individual days worth of weather, here this gives us an overview of the climate in Greece, which is the overall sort of weather, if you like, what it's like all together. So we would say, because it's Mediterranean, we'd say Greece is quite a hot country. We do have very, very occasional snow. We have warm weather as well. And we do have a bit of cold and a bit of rain, especially in the winter time. But overall, you can see it's quite a hot country. Okay, so hopefully that showed you the difference between individual weather when you had different days showing different things. That's your weather. But this is your climate. This is what the country is like overall. So I hope that shows you the difference between weather and climate. And now I get to eat the resources. Yay! Hello everybody.
Okay, I hope that has helped you understand the difference between weather and climate, and I hope you've managed to fast forward the video to find the right spot again. Now, what I've got here, I went to the Met website, and I got the weather, which is the daily, remember, the daily weather for Athens, which, as we know, is the capital city of Greece, from, it finishes yesterday. Yesterday is my last day that I chose, and I started last Friday, I believe. Yeah, last Friday, where it says today, and then it finished yesterday on the 25th. So let's have a look at what this shows us. So the big temperature, the larger temperature, is the highest temperature of each day, suspected temperature, because obviously the weather is a prediction. It's a very scientific prediction, and there's lots of really clever equipment and people that make those predictions, but it is only a prediction. So 14 was the highest temperature that was suspected last Friday, with a lowest temperature of 5. Okay, so the temperature was between 14 and 5. However, up on Wednesday, it actually went up to 18 degrees, and the lowest was 8. Okay, now do remember we're only just sort of coming into springtime at the moment, aren't we? So it's not in the middle of summer or anything. But if you look, cloudy on Saturday, but look, sun, 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 no clouds in the sky, according to the weather predictions. We've also got a bit more of a breakdown here. Now this is only a screenshot, so I can't show you what happened after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but this is midnight coming on to Saturday morning at midnight, so Friday night into Saturday. It was cloudy at night time, but then the sun started showing at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then it went back to cloudy again. But later in the week, that sun really started shining, didn't it? And down here we have the percentage of rain, so less than 10%, less than 5% chance of rain all day. We can't see that for the rest of the week, but less than 5% chance of rain. Look at that. And then the individual times for the whole day, individual temperatures, sorry, for the whole day up here. So precipitation, we will learn this later in the year when we do our next geography topic. Precipitation means rain, snow, sleet, hail, anything wet that falls from the sky is called precipitation. So less than 5% chance. But look at these temperatures, and remember we're only just coming into springtime. 18 is quite high, isn't it? Let's compare that now with the UK. So here is Hertford for the same times. Now remember we went up to 18 in Greece. The highest temperatures we've got in Hertford are these two at 14 degrees. Some of the lower temperatures are higher though, which is interesting, going up to 10 degrees. But yeah, 14 degrees, so a whole 4 degrees warmer in Athens, which doesn't sound a lot, but as we get into summer, and you'll see that in a minute, the range in temperature does increase. And we've got 10% chance of rain here. Not much sun, is there? Nowhere near as much sun as there was in Athens. We've got clouds, sun hiding behind clouds here, so not as much sun, that's for sure. Right, this table is really interesting. These are the monthly averages for various different things. Now the climate in Greece, we would say it has a mild and temperate climate, and that just means mild means it's fairly warm. It doesn't often get really cold, so it's fairly warm with wet and colder winters but hot and dry summers, and the summer will be a lot more extreme than our summer. So if we look at this bar graph here, these are the averages. So these have been taken over a series of years, and this is the average temperature that you would expect in each month in Athens. So this is the maximum temperature, the highest it could get. So January, the average is 13. And if you look, that's the coldest, isn't it? Which is to be expected. January is actually colder than December. A lot of people think that December sort of being Christmas time would be the coldest, but it's actually January that's the coldest month. So January being 13 as the average, and that's the highest. So it would be 13 or lower. But if we look here in August, July and August, we go up to 33 and 34, which, although we can get to those temperatures in the UK, it wouldn't be our average temperature. So we do get up to 33 and 34, and those are really, really hot days. That's not our average. Those are the days that are unusually hot. So if you look at this graph, it's really interesting that it sort of goes up and then back down again in that sort of pyramid shape, doesn't it, or a triangle shape. And the rainfall actually does the opposite, which again would be suspected. So millimetres per year. So if you were to collect the rainfall in a cup each month, you would have 51 millimetres. That's about 5 centimetres. So it's about that much, which isn't a lot really, is it? Which is the wettest month? Can you see? It's November, isn't it? 75 millimetres, which is 7.5 centimetres. That's about that much, I would say. So 7.5 centimetres in November is the wettest. And in the summer, June, July, here, August, very little rain at all, 3 millimetres. That's not even half a centimetre. So tiny amounts of rain. And then the daily sunshine. So that's how much sunshine you get each day, rather than, where the sun has risen and then setting, rather than when after the sunset. July is really interesting because it's 12 hours, which is exactly half the day, which means exactly half the day the sun is out, and exactly half the day the moon is out, as long as you can see it. And then snowfall. Now, I find this really interesting because we wouldn't think of Athens having lots of snow, and most of the time it doesn't. Remember, this is average. So the average number of days where you would get snow is half a day in January, just 0.5. That's half a day. And then 0.3, which is just under a third of the day. And then a tenth of the day in March, 0.1, that's a tenth of the day. So hardly any snow at all in Athens. Let's have a look at the UK. Now, the UK, I couldn't find a matching bar graph for on the Met website. They only had it, I think it was because Athens is not in the UK that you saw that graph. And I went for Greenwich. A couple of reasons. Greenwich is in London, which is our capital, but it's also, do you remember the Greenwich Meridian line, which is that time zone, the line where the time zone sort of starts for us, well, for all the world actually, when we were looking at the lines of longitude and the lines of latitude. Do you remember? It's a line of longitude, isn't it? So let's have a look again. Well, I haven't got the snow on this one, but do you remember the maximum temperature for Athens was 34? Now, in August in the UK, we've only got 23. That's a whole, 12 degrees less than it was in Athens. So there's a really big difference there, isn't there? So although when we looked at to this week's temperature, there wasn't that much difference, there's a huge amount of difference in the summer. So we only go up to 23.1 on average, or 23.4 on average, but in Athens, all the way up to 34. So that means it's super hot in Athens. And remember, that's the average, so it can get even hotter. Whereas in the UK, 34 would be our sort of real absolute maximum. So they could get even hotter in Athens. It'd be too hot for me. And the rainfall here, do you remember we were looking at just 5 millimetres of rainfall, whereas here we've got 54 millimetres of rainfall. So that's a lot more, and that's in the middle of August. That's unusual, isn't it? Oh, look at it. Oh no, that's the annual down the bottom. I was going to say that's a huge amount. Quite unusual that August is actually one of the most there. Not quite the most. October has more and November has more, but August seems to have an awful lot, doesn't it, compared to the others? That's very surprising. And then sunshine in hours. I think they've done this, yeah, they've done it differently. So in Athens, it was per day. And this, I think, is per month by the look of it, because we can't have 171 hours per day, can we? So I think they've done that differently per month rather than per day there. Okay, so but the main one we're looking at really is this maximum temperature and the differences between the two. So there is a huge difference between the temperatures in Athens and the temperatures in the UK. Now, in a minute, I'm going to leave you with another video which is going to explain how to do the activity I want you to do. But these are the pages you're going to see on a Google slide. These two are the graphs we've just looked at, and they are next to each other on a Google slide, so you can compare them. Then you've got this page, which I'll come back to, and then some questions. Now, on this page, you are going to be using the information, and it's just the maximum temperature. So you're just looking at the top row here on Athens and the first column here. Okay, so the others are just there for you if you're interested in looking at them, but the ones I want you to plot on the bar graph are the daily maximum temperatures, this lot here and this first column. Now, the blue represents Greenwich and the green, which is the one on top, represents Athens. Okay, now what I want you to do is plot Greenwich first, and that's because Greenwich is going to always be lower, so it's going to be much easier to plot all the blues first. Now the green is going to go, it looks like it's going on top, but what you're actually imagining is it's going behind the blue. So the blue is actually in front of, like that, in front of the green. So the green goes all the way down behind the blue. So it's not, the green doesn't start where the blue finishes. The green goes down behind it. So we can then look at this bar graph, and I can see here, without even looking at the data charts over here, that Greenwich, which is the blue one, January is an average of 8 degrees, and Athens is halfway between 12 and 14, so it's 13 degrees. And I can check that, 8 and 13. Now the way yes, that is right. The way I've done Greenwich is I've rounded it up to the nearest whole number. So 8.1 would round down to 8 because it's a 1. 8.6, that's got a 6 on the end, so that would round up to 9. 11.6, it's got a 6 on the end, so that would round up to 12. 14.6, tell me, that would round up to 15. 18.1 would round down to 18. Remember, if you're rounding down, you stick to the one you're already on. 21 stays the same. 23.4 rounds down to 23. 23.1 rounds down to 23 again. 20 stays as it is. 15.5, 5 is halfway, so it rounds up to 16. 11.3 rounds down to 11. 8.4 rounds down to 8. So you're going to mark those on this grid. Now, what's really interesting here is, so the December here is 15 and this one is 8 in Greenwich. So even December, it's a lot hotter in Athens than it is in the UK. After you've plotted that graph, and the next video will show you exactly how to do that, there are some questions that I want you to answer. So the wording will move about if you're not careful. So just try and double click and write underneath the wording that's already there. So I want to know what the hottest month is in both Athens and Greenwich, what the coldest month is in Athens and Greenwich, why do you think they're the hottest and the coldest months, which month has the greatest difference between the two locations. So you're looking there at which one there's the most difference between the two temperatures. And to do that, I've said that the difference, to work out the difference, you find the higher temperature, which will be Athens, and take away the lower temperature, which will be Greenwich. And whichever has got the most difference is the one you want there. And in Athens only, which 2 months have the greatest jump in temperature? And now is there more than one answer to that? So there might be. Okay, so the next video that you're going to watch, and then that's it, once the video's finished, that's it, is going to show you how to complete this graph on the Google Slides, okay? And then as soon as you finish watching that video, you can go into the Google Slides and have a go at doing that. Okay, so I'll say goodbye now, because the next video, after the next video, you are done on for watching. The activity I would like you to do is to complete this bar graph that you can see. The first page has got the data you need on it. Actually, the Athens one is already sort of a bar graph. So you are looking at the top Athens information here, the daily maximum temperature in average per month. And you are also looking at this first column here. Now, with the Greenwich temperature, what I'd like you to do is round it to the nearest whole number, okay? So if it's 0.1, 2, 3, or 4, you're going to round down, but remember to stick to the one you're already on. If it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you're going to round up to the next number. The way you're going to do it is take the lowest temperature each time, which is always Greenwich, and complete that bar. And then the higher temperature, which is Athens, will go on top of it up to the right level. So if I show you what I did with January, if you look, January was for Greenwich, it was 8.1, which rounds down to 8, not to 7, remember, to 8. And then Athens was 13. So I drew the bar, so it went up to 8 for the blue colour, which is Greenwich, this bottom bar, and then the one above it went up to halfway between 12 and 14, which is 13. So you can then read that off as 8 for Greenwich and 13 for Athens. So let me just do one more with you. 8.6 in February, which will round up to 9. So let's do that one first. So I'm going to draw a rectangle from my shapes up here. So that will round to 9, which is halfway between 8 and 10. So I draw that on. And then I want to fill that with that light blue colour, which is this one. And then February in Athens is 14. So although I'm adding a rectangle on top of it, what I'm actually imagining is that green bar goes down behind the blue one. So the green bar, what you're imagining, let's make it green, you're imagining that it goes all the way down to the bottom. It's just hidden behind the blue one. Okay, so that's what I'd like you to do for that activity.